Hi, everybody. I'm Frank Stanishi of Candid Frank Live, where you'll find us airing our views here on the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV Channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate, leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now, joining me on Candid Frank Live is the one and the only Aaron William Freeland. Hey, Aaron, look at you. Headset, ceiling tiles, fluorescent lights, two varieties. The variety that I like, the chrome ones. Those are nice, and the old lens type. That's not bad either. So Aaron, you're calling us from work, which
Hi,
means
we're back
you're
in the office.
you're back in the office. So tell me, how's it been this first little while?
It's been interesting. We're actually only back 2 days a week on a modified schedule because they hired more people than they have desks for. So we're coming in on a rotating basis to make sure that there aren't too many people in at the same time because the city of Toronto apparently still hasn't relaxed their percentage occupancy rules. So we
Oh,
still have to maintain a certain percentage or under in order to be in the office. So there's that little bit of interesting stuff going on. In addition, like I said, they've hired too many people, so we've got to schedule around that.
hired or fired too many people?
Hired.
Hired too many. Okay, that's a good thing, right?
Well, there were a lot of people that they cashiered out in 2018 and 2019, and then more people continued to quit during the pandemic. So they hired a whole bunch more people, younger. So of course they don't have to pay them as much, but they require more training. So that's how it goes.
So, well, listen, enjoy your time at work
Yeah.
and enjoy teaching fellow employees what to do. Now that if you want to talk about experience, and somebody new starting, there's going to be a new monarch in England. The Queen passed away today. I woke up this morning about I don't know, 8 o'clock or something like that, and they were saying that she was in the hospital, or not, she was being taken care of, and there was concern about her health, which was telegraphing the idea that she was basically in a bad way. And then you saw the rushing of vehicles going to Balmoral, is it in Scotland, your hometown? And of course, as the day wore on, the early day wore on. It was like 5:30 their time, something like that. 6 o'clock their time, something like that. And she passed away.
Yeah. So she had been under hospice care. I know that it was kind of serious. At least I realized it was kind of serious on Wednesday when they canceled a full slate of Privy Council meetings for her.
Yeah.
This was after she'd had a full day of public outings and appearances on the Tuesday. So it was only really a matter of time. But there was a rapid decline. As you mentioned, Frank, she was under hospice care at Balmoral Castle before passing away earlier this afternoon. So the Queen is dead. Long live the King. King Charles will now ascend to the throne along with his consort, Camilla Parker Bowles. And we'll see if he keeps the name or if he decides to change it. I think technically he'd be King Charles the second or third, but he could also be King George the seventh. So we'll see how that turns out.
So what name he picks?
Yeah.
Yes, and I want to say this about the Queen and about the monarchy. I'm not a big fan of the monarchy just because it represents monarchy over people. I'm not a big fan of that kind of behavior. We've got a wannabe monarch just south of us. So I'm not a big fan of that. But this is what I'm going to say, and I say this very clearly. If things don't work out in the monarchy, because Charles has a couple of issues that he has to overcome with the people. Now that it's actually happening, we're going to find out how many people hold reservations because of the way the Lady Di thing worked out. Whether people think that because he married a divorced woman, is that still an issue? Apparently not. I don't think. But what I'm going to say is that if Queen Elizabeth is the last monarch um, to be one that um, she deserves all the credit in the world that the monarchy is actually standing there today. She's done. I'm sorry, I didn't plan on saying this. The point I'm trying to make is that whether you like the monarchy or not, you can't help but like her. 70 years, man, 70 years.
Nope, she saw the comings and goings of 15 different prime ministers of England. You know, she married well. She had children. She was a grandmother. Uh, Drove a truck and repaired trucks during the Second World War. You got to admire her for that. She was a public servant in almost every single facet of her life, from her start, from her coronation all the way through to her service in the military. She was actually the first royal to serve in the military during wartime. I followed that all the way through to Prince Harry, who was last flying choppers during the conflict in Afghanistan. So, you know, it's a tradition that's continued. But you know,
Absolutely.
grace and poise and diplomacy were all things that she had. The organization that she was part of was not known for a great many things, at least not many positive
That's
streaks
my
of them.
point, and that's
But
why, yeah, that's what made her special. Is that
yeah,
she she was ahead of her time.
she really
She
was.
she was ahead of her time because she was really someone who really respected change, was more than willing to embrace it. When it came to political change, she was very in tune with what was going on in England and Great Britain, in the in the Commonwealth, if you will, because when she started, the Commonwealth was raring and roaring, right? She came in when England was, a very well. They were very important. This is before communism took hold, and Russia, Soviet Union, China. They weren't issues back when she took the crown. It was very close to being there. They were growing into the position, so she knew what it was like with a guy like Sir Winston Churchill. She knew him, and she is the last, I guess, vestige of connection to World War II and the pre-World War greatness of Great Britain. And you know what? Like I said, I liked her. I'm not a monarchy fan, but I had nothing against her. She's the only reason why I think that the monarchy survived to the extent it has survived till now, because she was someone who left little to criticize,
Indeed.
and that's what made her special. It made her really special. My condolences, and to the family, and I hope in her memory they can rise to a level of respect that she earned, deserved, and was given. CFL Red Blacks 38, Als 24.
Yeah, so the Redbacks actually kicked off the Labor Day weekend. So we're going back a little bit here, folks, because we
Yeah,
unfortunately missed a few days, but this happens. But the Red Blacks kicked off the Labor Day weekend with a win over the Owls, which was actually kind of neat. Um, I don't think really the result of the game was really in question. I mean, they were up 18-10 by the half, and 38-24 by the close. Just didn't really seem like it was that close. So.
if you're an Owls fan, you expected more. If you're a Red Blacks fan, you're saying, well, this is the way we should be playing. We've got that kind of team, and full value for their victory. And now, the fight for second place is monstrous. And who would have thought this far into the season that Hamilton would be at the bottom of the list? Who would have thought?
Yeah, I don't think anybody expected that out of the East Division, but Hamilton laboring at 3-9, Ottawa sitting at 3-8, Montreal at 4-7, and Toronto leading the charge at 6-5 is I don't think something anybody ever predicted.
Yeah, while the Ticats have been laboring, the Argonauts have been delivering. And they delivered to the tune of 28-8. It was a game that I don't think even before the day of the game that anybody questioned. As soon as they knew who was starting at quarterback, there's nothing in the CFL that doesn't say no good, not an experienced good quarterback, not a much of a chance to win. So we saw basically what history says in the Canadian Football League. Without an experienced, really good quarterback, you have difficulty winning. You're only as good as your quarterback.
Not only that, Brandon Banks had an absolutely spectacular game.
At his old home.
It's one of those revenge games. We talk about trap games where there are teams that you should beat, and then there's also these other games that come along that are revenge games where you expect to play well against your former team. So this was definitely one of those. Some wonderful highlights came out of that.
I think this could have been a trap game. I mean, we all knew that, and I think Hamilton knew, and I know the Argos knew, and I know the fans knew. I don't think the Hamilton fans held it much hope in winning that game. I mean, the opening of the game was one of the greatest openings I've seen in years. They did a marvelous job, a great start up to the game. But you know what Hamilton did once the whistle went to start the game, it just went downhill from the opening. It was too bad for them. But I'm sure Argo fans aren't too disappointed in their first victory at Tim Hortons Field.
In 10 years. Good
Right.
God, man.
So
But yeah, the opening was a lot of feathers, but not much chicken. So
no, not much chicken at all. It was a turkey, maybe even. Well, being Thanksgiving, you would expect it to be a turkey. That was Labor Day. Stampeders 26, Elks 18. The Elks just, they don't got it quite yet. Jones has a lot of work to do. And against the Stampeders, I think one of the elite teams of the league, they're a good second or third, no problem. It was just too much. That team is just too much. And they dangled the victory in front of the Elks for a little bit.
yeah, they kind of teased them with it. Let's be fair. I mean, Edmonton was up at 1.87. You know, it's very rare for them to actually be going into the half leading, at least recently. So, yeah, but then to have it so crudely snatched away with that 15-point third quarter by the Stampeders, that was a little much.
That was an ouchie. I think that was an ouchie. Okay, let's go over to sports, which we like to do and continue, and other sports, in particular the Toronto Blue Jays. They are doing a good job in beating the teams they're supposed to beat, and maybe even handling the teams that they might have difficulty with, like that Oriole team that gave them trouble earlier in the season on home and away. They really got cranked. Not
No,
this time.
no, not this time. The Jays actually took 3 of 4 from them. Alec Manoah actually had a great game. Pitched 8 solid innings on Wednesday, winning 4-1 for Toronto. The Jays are now up 4.5 games on the Orioles in the standings. They're at 76 and 60, just a half a game behind and a game and a half behind, respectively, Seattle and Tampa Bay. Realistically, it'd be nice to clinch the top wild card spot. Tampa Bay is currently sitting at 77 and 58, so it's not completely out of reach. It's still doable, but we'll have to see if the Jays can put together a string to sort of keep that going.
Hockey Canada, it's not the board of directors, it's not governments, it's the organization itself that must, as a whole, that must stop scandals.
It's true, and really a lot of that actually does rest with the board of directors for Hockey Canada. There were some that were saying that the women's win in Denmark was tainted by having Hockey Canada officials passing out the medals as opposed to just IIHF in Team Canada's 2-1 win over Team USA last week. But it is what it is at this point. They're sort of feeling their way through it blind, like a lot of people are. But we'll, and again, it is a case where the board is the one that needs to maintain control. The government really can't step in and do anything at this point. It's on the board of directors to make sure that these issues are addressed and addressed quickly.
Yeah, and it's just ironic, I think, that the first championship is the women's hockey team.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of coincidence. That's a coinky dink from hell, I think. The Canadians, Montreal, signed goaltender Caden Primo.
So, in light of the fact that Carey Price has been placed on off-season long-term injured reserve, Caden Primo, formerly of the Laval Rocket, has signed a $2.67 million 3-year contract. That's the AAV of $890,000. He was 1-7-1 in 9 starts with the Hab last season with a .462 goals against and an .868 save percentage. So, it's kind of rough, but he did play well for the Laval Rocket in the finals. So, glad to see that.
Kirby Dach signs a 4-year contract with the Canadians.
Yeah, so this is another one of those cornerstones that everybody was wondering why they picked him up, but he's got a 4-year, $13.45 million deal. This is good for them. I think he suffered a wrist injury in 2021 and has been having issues with scoring, but the Habs believe that he's coming around on that. 19 goals and 40 points in 152 games with Chicago isn't really all that great for the draft pick that he was, but management seems to think that he can do better.
Yeah, they have a lot of hope in that kid. Ottawa Senators signed Tim Stutzla, sorry, to an 8-year contract extension.
This is the big one that everybody was hoping for. He's agreed to an 8-year, $66.4 million contract. That's going to take him through all the way until my retirement in 8 years. So it's a good pickup for them and a good signing. That sealing him in along with Kachuk, Norris, Batherson, and Thomas Shabbat means that there is a good core for them to work with as they continue to rebuild after Melnick's passing.
Jets sign John Tavares, Leaf captain's buddy, Sam Gagne. They lived together in Oakville, skated on the same rink for
Yeah.
750 grand, Aaron.
Now this is one of those where it's a player who's getting on in years is looking to have a show me sort of year, get himself hooked on. He's played 967 games for Edmonton, Arizona, Philly, Columbus, Vancouver, and Detroit. He was a 6th overall pick in the 2007 NHL draft. So I am glad that he has actually picked up with another team. Hopefully he can turn it into something meaningful.
Well, he's a guy who never lived up to his potential, for whatever reason. And now, he's reaching 1,000 games. That's a pretty good thing to be able to say that you did in the National Hockey League. So good luck to him in reaching 1,000. Hopefully he does. And yeah, $750,000 to play hockey. It's still not a bad deal.
No, not a bad deal at all.
Right? I mean, you and I would work for 750, play for 750 grand. I mean, that's a nice chunk of change, baby. That's good money. It may not be the great money that a lot of hockey players get, but 750 grand to play the game you love. And basically, I mean, he can even put away some meal money, if you know what I mean.
Most definitely.
Oilers signed defenseman Ryan Murray to a 1-year deal, another $750,000 contract.
Yeah. Now, Murray most recently played with the Colorado Avalanche. However, it is important to note that he did not appear in the playoffs for Colorado's run to the Stanley Cup this year. He has 128 career points and a defensive rating of plus 13 over 400 games with Columbus, New Jersey, and Colorado. So this is one of those depth signings for the Oilers. If their decor continues to perform well, he may see more ice time, but we'll have to see what happens.
The Canucks, I'm kind of surprised in this deal. There was so much talk that they were shopping JT Miller around. He signs for $56 million over a 7-year contract. If my math's correct, that's $8 million a year.
That's correct. He was also Vancouver's leading scorer last year with 32 goals and 67 assists for 99 points in 80 games. He was set to become a UFA at the end of the 2022-2023 season, so next year. Now, they picked Miller up from the Tampa Bay Lightning in the 2019 draft for goalie Marek Mazanek, a 3rd-round pick in the 2019 draft and a conditional first in 2020. He was originally drafted 15th overall by the Rangers. It was a good pickup for them, and he now has the opportunity to start building a legacy in Vancouver.
Aaron, how many people? Let's go to politics. I should mention that. And let's talk about the Conservatives. How many people voted to pick the Conservative Party leader of Canada?
This is actually pretty awesome. As it currently stands, there were more than 400,000 ballots that went out. They actually had a return rate of about 63% on all of those. So
that's not bad.
No, that's not bad at all. It's the highest participation rate when you consider that most of the recent federal elections have been with turnouts of under 50%. So
absolutely. So what do you think? Poilievre has a shot?
Possible. They are announcing changes to the voting system as they're going. They are going to be having a press conference tomorrow to indicate how they're making additional changes to how the votes are going to be tabulated and counted, and before announcing a leader, hopefully on Saturday. So we'll see if they can actually stick to that.
Hey, Aaron, what's going on with the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary? Something about some policies that are changing in sexual misconduct?
Yeah, there have been a few charges that have been levied against different officers. The most recent policy update was June 10th, 2022. The issue that we have is that Constable Carl Douglas Snellgrove is at the center of allegations of sexual misconduct and assault because he drove a woman home while on duty in his police vehicle and apparently assaulted her in the vehicle.
Wow.
Now, this is one of those situations where there are other women who have come forth since July 2021 with allegations of sexual assault or misconduct against members of the Royal Newfoundland Constabulary. So the police are trying to move to stem that and protect the public as well as themselves.
Tell us about the Quebec election, how the Liberals are being affected and criticized because of Quebec's Solidaire's wealth tax.
So the Liberals and the Coalition Avenir Quebec are criticizing Quebec Solidaire's wealth tax proposal because basically the CAQ and the Liberals are promising to cut income taxes and give checks of about $400 to $600 to Quebecers earning up to $100,000 a year. However, Quebec Solidaire is going the other way and threatening to raise taxes. So this is one of those situations where, hey, we see a policy that we can leverage against you, and we're going to jump on that with both feet.
Here's one you're going to have to explain to me. In the Quebec election, people are hearing that Legault is sorry for English content on his party's website. Is there enough? Too much? What's the story there?
Well, he said that there was English language content published on his party's website that he intervened personally to have removed. The party had published an English version of a document detailing its accomplishments during its 4 years in government, but the section was the only English language campaign material on the CAQ website. The entire website for the CAQ is actually only in French. That particular part was actually posted bilingually, but it should have been all in French.
There you go. So Legault apologizes for comments citing extremism, which was based on violence, and the reason being immigration, and it needs to be limited.
Yeah, he cited the threats of extremism as violence, as well as the need to preserve Quebec's way of life as a reason to limit the number of immigrants in the province, which didn't sit well with a lot of people. He said, look, immigration is a richness for Quebec. It will always be a challenge for a French-speaking nation in North America. I didn't mean to associate immigrants with violence. I am sorry if my comments caused confusion. My desire is to unite people.
So Ontario education unions gear up for talks as classes return.
Yes.
It was yesterday, man.
Yeah, I know, right? But this was posted yesterday at 2:45. There's about 55,000 teachers under CUPE who haven't been with a contract since like the 1st of June. So there's been no movement on that. And there's another 60,000 teachers on the OSSTF who don't have a contract as well. So this is potentially could lead to either work to rule or a strike.
That's all the time we have. All I can say is people are breathing a sigh of relief in Saskatchewan. Aaron, thanks for this.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay, he's Aaron William Freeland. I'm Candid Frank Stanishi. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live. Aaron, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network. For Candid Frank Live, other news, entertainment, and sports programming we offer, please check out spanglishworld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ciao for now.